Hey folks, Michael Mann with Michael Mann Security Services. And as we continue to talk or discuss comprehensive physical security for houses of worship, now we get into emergency action plans. Okay, folks, if you want to get a hold of us, you can get me at contact@michaelmannsecurityservices.com, or you can always call me at 615-956-3912. Leave me a message. Let's get to it. All right, the agenda for emergency action plans. So EAP, what is it? We'll talk about a description of it, and then we're going to talk about considerations for your house of worship when we talk about put your plans together. So what is an emergency action plan? Very quickly, it identifies the hazards that your church or house of worship needs to be concerned about as they deal with daily operations or worship services, which we will get into. It also describes the actions taken by individuals during that emergency situation or those emergency situations. So it's going to outline exactly what individuals are going to do with their responsibilities during those identified hazards or emergencies. Now, what it should include also is training requirements. So what training requirements are necessary for those individuals to respond. And then, of course, also it should include drills and exercises because even if you're doing one or two a year, even for your house of worship, there should be some sort of drill and exercise plan included in that emergency action plan so you guys can determine whether or not you guys are ready for these identified hazards. Now, some considerations, especially for houses of worship, which see how they're the acronym. Number one, an emergency action plan should be abbreviated. So, I see some very well-meaning folks that work at production sites or they work in government, and they get a copy of their emergency action plan, and it's like 78 pages, and they want to copy that. The issue with that is no one is going to remember an emergency action plan that large. I write emergency action plans for churches, very frequently. The majority of my emergency action plans are 15 pages or less. Actually, they're probably 12 pages or less. And that includes the cover page. That includes the forms that are included in the emergency action plan. So really, the meat of the plan is probably 5 or 6 pages. So it's abbreviated because if it's not, no one's going to remember what to do. Two, with emergency action plans, especially if you're a larger church and you've got full-time staff or even part-time staff that work during the week, think about there's probably going to be two parts to the plan. There's going to be the plan for worship services, which actually could be managed by your security ministry, or if you've got contractors on site, you're paying for that. They can manage the emergency action plan. And also there's a part that's going to address weekly operations. So if you've got, even if it's a small number of staff in that church during the week, they need to know how to deal with emergency. So it's going to be different depending on, is it Sunday worship or is it during the week when, when the staff or part-time staff or other volunteers are there working and there's not this large crowd that's on site for worship services. So you're going to have two parts to the plan, or you should. And then, of course, responsibilities, that's going to be different based on, is it during worship or is it going to be during the week? So your responsibilities in worship services, again, I just mentioned this, that should probably fall to your security ministry, or if you've got contractors on site, to those folks. And then during the week, there's going to be, part-time employees, full-time employees, or whatever. That's going to be their responsibilities because most churches during the week don't have their volunteers there. Okay. So it's abbreviated. Again, you're going to break it down into two sections, or there's going to be two parts. And then, of course, there's going to be different responsibilities based on what part of the plan. Okay, folks. Again, if you want to get a hold of us, you can always email me at contact@michaelmannsecurityservice.com. You can call me at 615-956-3912. Folks, we write emergency action plans. We do security assessments. We write physical security plans. They're abbreviated. They're quick. They fit within your budget, and we can be in or to you pretty quickly if you need us. So again, just shoot me an email. Give me a call if I don't answer. Then just leave me a message. I will get right back to you. And remember, folks, it is about prevention, not response.